They come, the women, Mary Magdalene, James's mother and Salome, to pay their respects to the body of the one they loved. They come worried about the heavy stone and who's going to roll it away. But they find nothing there. The tomb is empty. Where is it? Where has the body gone? But who are they looking for? What are they looking for? In chapter 1 of Mark's Gospel, an unclean spirit who possesses a man shouts out, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus silences him. "Be quiet, be muzzled, and come out of him." What's the unclean spirit doing? Why does it talk like that? Say that about Jesus? It's probably trying to intimidate Jesus, to stop him from driving him out of the man he possesses and torments. But he also wants to control Jesus. This knowledge the unclean spirit has seems to be completely hidden from human beings. But why the command for silence? Well, would you trust or deem reliable a spirit who controls and torments another human being? Fascinatingly, this outburst and revelation makes no impact on the people present. They ignore him and this incredible declaration he makes. They only notice how the unclean spirit obeys Jesus. Jesus' authority to teach and the power to exercise have a divine source. But the people aren't interested in that and make no connection. The people are astonished, and yet they do not understand fully what is really taking place and who it is that stands before them. But for the writer of Mark's Gospel, Jesus' identity as the Holy One of God is fundamental and key. Who is Jesus of Nazareth? And who has access to this special knowledge? So let's go to chapter 8, when Peter, the emerging leader of the disciples, boldly answers Jesus' question, "You are the Christ." Now one of Jesus' own disciples finally gets it and says who Jesus truly is. Peter's confession of faith is a breakthrough, a burst of light. The eyes of Peter's heart have finally been opened to see the import of all that Jesus has done so far. But to grasp that Jesus is the Messiah is not the same as understanding what it meant and means to be Christ the Messiah. Jesus' vocation is to be Messiah who suffers and who is rejected by the elders, the chief priests and the scribes, and is killed, but will rise again in 3 days. In the disciples' vocation is to follow in his footsteps. That's the moment when Peter's earlier declaration comes crashing down. He remonstrates with Jesus, and that's when Jesus rebukes Peter and says, "Get behind me, Satan, because your mind is not on things of God, but on human things." So what was Peter's, a first century Jew, understanding of Christ Messiah? Triumphant, a winner of victories, defeating Israel's enemies and restoring Israel's greatness. A suffering Messiah was completely alien and radically incomprehensible. Such notions of earthly dreams, misguided ideas of a political leader, of a messianic uprising, needed to be purged of such human connotations. Jesus' mission had nothing to do with the using of political or military power to overthrow the enemies of Israel, but had everything to do with overthrowing the power of sin through the cross. So we fast forward again to the end of chapter 15, verse 39 of Mark's Gospel, to the centurion at the foot of the cross when Jesus dies hanging on the cross. This centurion, a witness to many a crucifixion, he knows that this one is different. He truly grasps what is happening, who the Messiah, the Son of God, is all about. He gets it. This is the climax, the death of Jesus. Truly, this man was a Son of God. This centurion is the first human being in Mark's story to penetrate the secret of Jesus' identity, because he was the first to come to terms with the cross. It is the most important declaration of Jesus, about Jesus, in the entire gospel. But now we're back to the tomb, and it's empty. Jesus is not there. He's crucified and raised, not crucified and then raised. The resurrection, while glorious, does not undo the crucifixion. The two must be held together to understand Jesus' significance as Son of God. He's no longer dead. The tomb is not the place to find him. His death by crucifixion links him to those who suffer. He is still on the cross with all those whose homes have been destroyed because of war, because of domestic violence, because of abuse. All those struggling to see the light or stuck in a cycle of self-destruction and can't take that hand that is reaching out for and to them. But we must remember also that Jesus didn't stay on the cross. The tomb with its heavy stone couldn't contain him, couldn't lock him in. The heavy stone meant nothing because God was at work, and God smashed the stone, broke the chains of death, of sin, of torment, and raised Jesus up on the third day. His glory is a dazzling light, never to be dimmed, never to be stamped out. The purpose of the gospel, Mark's gospel in particular, is to define what it means to be Messiah and the Son of God, not to prove it. Jesus is the powerful figure who stands up to injustice. Jesus dying on the cross is where Mark fully reveals Jesus to be the Son of God through the centurion. For Mark, Jesus is truly Son of God only as he suffers and dies on the cross. It is not a passing moment on the way to glory. It is the defining moment of Jesus, Son of God. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He is risen. He's not here. You must go to Galilee, and it is there that you will find him, just as he told you. The women, we, Jesus' followers, are challenged, compelled to go back to Galilee, to where the story of Jesus, the Messiah, the Holy One, began. Compelled to be part of the community that started it all, and declare that the earth-shattering news that the one crucified has risen from the dead, declare that to the whole world. Hallelujah.